When the Legends Die, Chapter 41. He was looking at the list of convalescent homes the next morning when Mary Redmond came in. He didn't like the sound of any of them. She came in, bright as always, and said, "Well, stout fellow, I expected you'd be up. Have your bed made and be out taking your constitutional." "Where is White Plains?" he asked. "Out in Westchester. Why?" "Where's Stamford?" "Connecticut." She looked over his shoulders, saw the list, and said, "Oh, those places." Then she said, "You won't want to walk this morning, I guess. There won't be time after you've eaten your breakfast. You're scheduled for X-rays at 9:45. "I had breakfast early, so I would have time. Bring the chair, and I'll go out to the sun porch while you're straightening up things up here." "You can't rush things that way. Maybe this afternoon." "Get the chair," he ordered. She brought the chair and would have gone to the porch with him, but he said firmly, "I'm going alone." "You heard Dr. Ferguson say you'd fall flat on your face in 10 minutes. "If I do, I'll get up again." He wheeled the chair into the corridor and went to the sun porch alone. He alternately walked and rested for 20 minutes before Mary Redmond returned. Then he sat down again. She said, "Those homes on that list, some of them are pretty terrible, and the really good ones have long waiting lists." He didn't answer. "What you really need," she said, "is just a quiet place and somebody to look after you and see you get good meals and plenty of rest. And you should continue the massages. That's what really got you on your feet this soon. I hope you realize that." He wheeled his chair back to the windows and resumed his walking, slowly, carefully. He still had to concentrate on every step. He had never tried it, but he imagined walking a tight wire was something like this, demanding almost as sure a sense of balance. He walked and he rested again, and Mary Redmond said, as though there had been no interruptions, "You need a place where you can walk several times a day, too. Oh, I wish you had a place like my apartment. It's just 2 blocks from the drive. Did you ever walk along the river and look at the water and watch the gulls?" "Gulls? Those birds that never sing and just squawk and fight over garbage?" "They don't squawk. They cry like lonely children." She looked at her watch. "It's after 9. You'd better rest before your X-rays." "One more walk," he said, and went back to the window and walked to the end of the room and back. Then they returned to his room. She helped him into bed and gave him the daily massage. Her hands seemed even more deft and gentle than usual, and she gave him a long, thorough rub before the orderly came and took him to the X-ray laboratory. That afternoon, after Mary Redmond had gone off duty, he called for the chair, and a strange nurse took him to the sun porch. He walked, rested, and walked again for almost an hour. The next morning Mary Redmond came in, triumphant about something, but she kept it to herself till they were on the sun porch and he had walked his first round. Then she said, "I found just the place for you." "Where?" "Near Nyack." "What's Nyack? Sounds like a fish or a disease." "It's a town just up the Hudson. This place is out in the country, and you'll love it. I know the woman who runs it. I used to work for her. I called her last night, and she has rooms. She'll save it for you." "Oh, isn't that wonderful?" "I'll have to think about it." He wheeled the chair away and started walking again. Something in the situation added up wrong. He tried to puzzle it out, forgot to concentrate on his walking, lost his balance, and would have fallen if he hadn't caught hold of the window frame. Mary Redmond was watching and ran to take his arm, steady him. He shrugged her off and snapped, "Leave me alone. I'm all right." He was angry at himself, not at her. But when she said, "You're tired. You'd better rest," he flared, "Leave me alone. I said I know what I'm doing." He walked and rested and refused to talk, and walked again, driving himself. Finally he sat down in the chair and ordered, "Take me back to my room." She took him back to his room, but before she had a chance to massage him, an orderly came to take him for the other tests. It was noon before they finished with the test. He ate a late lunch, then, worn out, he slept. He had just awakened when Mary Redmond came in, about to go off duty. "I have to call my friend in Nyack this evening," she said. "Do you want me to tell her to hold that room for you?" He had to think for a moment, to remember what she was talking about. When he didn't answer, she said, "I'm not trying to talk you into anything. It's for your own good." She hesitated, then hurried on. "When I mentioned my apartment yesterday, I didn't mean a thing. I was just thinking of you and a nice place to walk, so you don't get any wrong ideas. If you go to Nyack, I may go up there on a day off to see that you're getting the right kind of massage, but beyond that—" Then he remembered, and the whole pattern fell into place. Blue Elk, Benny Grayback, Rowena Ellis, Red Dillon. They had trapped him. Every one of them tried to run his life, make him do things their way. And now Mary Redmond. "Tell your friend," he said. I've made other plans." But what happened?" She stared at him, then asked, "Did Dr. Ferguson find a place for you?" "No, I found it all by myself." "Oh, well, I hope it's what you need." "It is." There didn't seem to be anything more to say. She turned and left the room. When she had gone, he got a pencil and paper and set down figures, added them up. He knew how much he had in the safe at the hotel, the money he had left with the clerk for safekeeping. He estimated the surgeon's bill and the hospital charges. He made a guess at what he could get for his car. He hated to sell the car, but he had to pay the bills, and he could get another car when he was in the money again. He added and subtracted and decided that after he had paid train fare and bus fare, he would still have $150, maybe $200, enough for a while. At least he wouldn't be flat broke. Then he smiled wryly. Heroes die broke. Well, he wasn't dead, and he wasn't broke. Not quite. That evening he sat for a long time in the chair beside the window. He remembered another night, long ago, when he sat beside the window in a shabby little Texas hotel, waiting for Red. Red didn't come in. Red was drunk, and the next day, when Red tried to tell him what to do, how to ride, he had knocked Red down twice, then walked out. Because he knew he would kill Red if he had to get free. He had only one regret now, about Red. Red never saw him ride on the big circuit. He sat there for a long time before he finally went to bed and to sleep. The next morning Mary Redmond came in, almost as gay as ever. She made his bed, straightened his room, and though she looked at him from time to time, she didn't say a word about the place in Nyack or ask where he was going to. She chattered impersonally, and when she wasn't talking, she was humming to herself as though afraid of silence between them. Then she brought the wheelchair and let him get into it alone. "I'll bet you could walk to the sun porch this morning," she said. "But you'd better not try. You're still listed as a chair patient, and if the supervisor saw you, we'd both catch hell." He went to the porch, and she left him there alone for almost an hour. Then she came back and waited for him to say he was ready to go to his room. She gave him a thorough, efficient massage, but she seemed as impersonal about it as though he were someone who had just walked in off the street. She made him feel like an absolute stranger. When she had finished and left him alone in his room, he was tempted to call her back and say he'd changed his mind, that he would go to that place in Nyack, that he wanted to be taken care of, comforted, eased, protected. Then he said to himself angrily and aloud, "You fool! You damn fool! You've been taken care of for almost 6 weeks." He pushed Mary Redmond out of his thinking. He had plans to make. That afternoon, just before she went off duty, Mary came to his room again. He was sitting in the chair beside the window, and he started to get to his feet as she came in. "Don't get up," she said. "I just stopped to say good-bye." "Good-bye?" "I do this with all my patients before they go." "I'm not leaving till tomorrow." "I'll be off duty tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesdays, remember?" "That's right." He had forgotten. "Well," she hesitated, "well, good-bye and good luck." He was still listening to her footsteps down the hall when Dr. Ferguson came in. He had the reports on the x-rays and the tests. Everything, he said, was all right. "I'll sign your release and check you out before I leave. You can go any time tomorrow. Where did you decide to go, by the way?" "I'm going back home." "Good. Get out in the open air. Eat and sleep and walk. Best exercise you can get, walking. Check in with another doctor out there once a month or so. By the end of summer, he'd probably let you ride again, if it's a gentle horse." "Gentle," I said. Tom made no comment. He asked what he owed, and Dr. Ferguson said the records were in his office, but he gave an approximate figure. Tom took the office address. The doctor wished him luck, and they shook hands and said goodbye. Alone, Tom looked around the room and knew he was a stranger here, a total stranger. He didn't belong here. So he was getting out, going back to the life he did belong to. All he had to do now was close this out and get ready to take up where he left off. By this time tomorrow, he would be on the train heading west. He turned to the window and stared out at the patch of sky beyond the buildings. Blue sky, the calm, gentle, comforting female color. Then he thought of his own name, Tom Black. Black, the harsh, ruthless male color. He went out into the corridor and walked toward the sun porch, without the wheelchair and with no one at his elbow. He almost wished the supervisor or someone would try to stop him, but nobody did.